Concerns that the sort of that there is sort of a divide between political ability and there is some sort of character and ability that goes into being a good political leader, right? As sort of in terms of governing, what we've seen is an effective president, right? I mean, it's a very big question about how connected that has been to sort of their public perception in the past, right? But if so much focus is on this sort of branding, life story. I mean, Barack Obama had a made-for-TV life story, right? I mean, you couldn't have asked for a little bit better. Does that necessarily, we're not naively thinking that the best candidate always wins, but is there more of a divide now between who's the best candidate and who's able to put on a better internet show, right, than there may have been in the past of somebody who's also a good politician and is pretty good doing a television interview?
What we've been seeing since what you mentioned about Kennedy and Nixon is politicians taking advantage of the image and, developments since the start of television involving politics have involved creating negative commercials and have created what we really saw in maybe with Clinton, but more so with in 2000 we saw the creation of soundbites where people were really starting to criticize the use of soundbites. And I think before television, I didn't obviously grow up in that time, but I think with the radio being the sole medium for having knowledge of what the president is doing being distributed to people were willing and probably liked that they would sit down for 10-15 minutes and hear a whole speech, hear the old grandeur of politicians. And while that is the spectacle and there may be so many hands-on things that get lost in those things, I think losing sight of that and then not replacing it with real hands-on things, when you replace it with negative advertising, the countless examples that have happened over the past 40 years, I don't think that gets any closer to the hands-on things that are beyond the spectacle. Those are, aberrations of people's policies that in the end no one takes seriously. So we're left in the same place of either having spectacle that's just for show and they're doing something else behind the scenes, or we're getting all of this gritty stuff of what's actually going on behind the scenes, but missing out on the good real policy that they're going to be doing. But today I think being able to visit a website as opposed to just seeing a news story or seeing a soundbite, when you want to watch the whole speech and hear his entire policy laid out very cleanly. I think this may be proof that people want more of that rather than old media.
I mean, I'm not necessarily sure that I agree with that, just because still today there's still such a mass of information. There's no way that we can absorb all the information. So we rely on spectacle to at least set our initial impression. I mean, we can figure out, within watching, and it's often more important that you like a candidate than you support him or support his views. I mean, there's kind of the risk of with spectacle that we do let ourselves separate whether or not he's a good decision maker from whether or not we like him. I think that but it's important to remember at the same time that the president isn't making decisions in a vacuum. I mean, he's not expected to know everything. He's expected to assemble a team that will enable him to make the right decision. The direction that his decisions lead him in certainly is a reflection on his policy views. So, for example, somebody who is against gay marriage is not going to assemble a team that will lead him to legalize gay marriage. But we have to kind of we use the spectacle that is created to judge whether or not we think this person would be capable of making decisions in a competent manner. And I mean, yeah.
Was he able to create a new type of spectacle though? Is it a different is using the internet and having longer clips and having a new amount of clips? Is that a new type of spectacle compared to 8 years ago?
For politics, yes, but I don't know if it's
politics.
he basically borrowed Madison Avenue and said, what can I take from here? Like, how do I brand myself as he's basically a product when you think about it. Going from somebody who's relatively unknown all the way to a national media icon. I mean, there's kind of a success of consistency in branding and consistency in message, and of using both new and old media in ways that really haven't been done before. That can be, yeah.
So one view is that you're getting a more authentic look at a candidate because they're able to cut through the clutter that may have sort of swamped them in the past. A guy like Barack Obama might have been done under by the rumors about him. He's Muslim, anti-Christian, all that sort of thing, right? But he's able to cut through that. The alternative is he's able to create a product of himself that's delivered directly to the American people, right?